What is your role at UCI?
I am a fifth year graduate student in the lab of Dr. Elizabeth Head.
What is the mission or vision of that group?
Our mission is really to improve the lives of people with Down syndrome, especially those in older age ranges as they approach mid and end of life. And we do this really by taking a lifespan approach to our research questions. And so that we can understand the biological mechanisms of Alzheimer's disease, which disproportionately affects this population.
What does your research focus on, and are there any discoveries you'd like to share?
Yeah, my research focuses on understanding sex differences in Alzheimer's disease in people with Down syndrome. And really, this is through the lens of neuropathology. So, the key pathologies of Alzheimer's disease, which are amyloid beta and tau, and understanding how these progress and how they might be different in men and women. And one discovery that I've made is that women with Down syndrome actually develop pathology a little bit earlier and develop a later stage a bit earlier than their male counterparts, despite showing very similar presentation in the clinic. So this means that we might have to approach treatments differently and perhaps even a bit earlier in women, so that we can really move towards very precise and targeted care.
What got you interested in this research focus?
So initially, I started in the lab as a technician. And during my time as a technician, I was doing a literature review of sex differences in Alzheimer's disease, specifically in the field of Down syndrome research. And I found that there was a lot of gaps in our understanding. And I really felt like that was something that would be very special for me and inspiring for me to pursue. And when I stepped out into the larger, broader field of sporadic Alzheimer's disease and familial Alzheimer's disease, I found that there was a lot of exciting research coming out about women developing pathology and also presenting a little bit differently with Alzheimer's disease and having a bit of a different response to some of the treatments that are now becoming approved. So I feel like this is a really timely and important issue, especially to treat the population of people with Down syndrome, since they're disproportionately affected by Alzheimer's disease.
Is there a researcher who has inspired you?
Yes, there's honestly so many. I mean, every day I'm inspired by my advisor, Dr. Elizabeth Head. She was the first person to really introduce me to this field, and it's been something that I've really enjoyed and been very grateful to work in. In addition, I was also really inspired by the work of Dr. Nicole Shoup, who is a researcher out of Columbia University, and she really laid a lot of the groundwork for what would eventually inspire my project, looking at menopausal risk factors and also the effects of estrogen and how those would impact Alzheimer's disease in people with Down syndrome and some of the differences there. And also, when I was branching out into more of the sporadic Alzheimer's disease field, I learned about the work of Dr. Dina Dubal and Dr. Risa Sperling, Dr. Rachel Buckley, and I've come to know some of them personally, and it's been really inspiring to hear their journeys and their science. Like I'm always learning something new.
Is there any advice you have for new investigators entering the field?
I feel it's really important to be persistent. And to really have also other ways of inspiring and learning. I think one of my favorite experiences of the PhD has been getting to mentor undergraduate students. And it's really important for me, and I think in general, to give back. So whether it's community work or mentorship, I think that is the one thing for me that has built the most resilience in science. And also just I'm continuously inspired by my students. They're always either teaching me something new or we're figuring out a new approach to research. So that has been really important. Find ways to give back. And in addition to mentorship, I've also had the honor of being really involved with the Down syndrome community through the Down syndrome showcase that we have at UC Irvine. And again, that has taught me so much about the community and their needs. And I really take those questions and bring them into the research focus that I have. And I try to let that drive a lot of my passion for continuing to do this work.
What parts of the mission and vision of CFAR-DS appeal to you or inspire you?
I think it's really all in the name. CFAR really comes from a lot of our desire to see into the future and see what's possible. And as a researcher, I really take that to heart. Like, we want to be thinking about not just our day-to-day in the lab and planning experiments, but also the broader impact of our research, as that is what I have found to be the most important thing, like in and out of the lab, is really to inspire and also to see what's possible. And I think that's where we actually start to answer a lot of the really big questions and move towards more equitable treatments for everybody.